Alright, finally, the day that I never thought was coming, and you guys probably didn't think was coming. We are calling this project done. Except for a few fiddly bits, this lathe is 100%. The only other things I need to do is remake a spring for the spring detent on the sliding gear, because that's broken so it doesn't really lock in place on the detents. It needs a new carriage lock, and it needs that. The new carriage lock. It needs a chuck. Yeah, that would help. I need to make a backplate and chuck, and then we're also going to replace the dial. But as far as functionality goes, it works, and we can make chips with it. So anybody looking to take on one of these projects, you saw what I went through, and like I said, it's taken about a year. And granted, this is only working a few days a week, not even a full day. You know, a few hours here and there every week. It's not really for the faint of heart. You know, you're ripping apart a piece of machinery, you're going to find broken things, you're going to break things along the way because they're not going to want to come apart. And then it's just a lot of time and effort. So just be aware of it. You have to want to do it, and you have to like doing it. If it's something you don't want to do, don't even attempt to go near it, because it does take a lot of time. I like doing it, and when you see what this lathe looked like when it was in the barn, a lot of people would have walked by it. But we were able to actually resurrect it, and even given the wear, it still has more life in it than my lifetime of home shop use. So it's perfectly fine for what I'm doing, and we'll look into that. As far as other projects goes, besides those 3 things or 4 things, this is going to be the drill chuck that's going to be going with that. It's a 14N ball bearing chuck. This was given to me by a friend, and it's a little, it's closes fine. It's a little stiff on the opening, and this probably just needs to be greased and cleaned. Plus, if you look at it, one side looks nice, the other side kind of has the Gorbachev going there. So we just need to clean this up, get an arbor for it, re-grease it, so you guys are going to be able to look at the inside of a ball bearing chuck. I know I did another video of a plain chuck. We need to mount our chuck to it, so I'm going to need to make a back plate. And then this big hernia-inducing piece of equipment here is also there's a 12-inch universal Bison tool rotary table for the mill that he had given me, and it works perfectly fine. It just needs a quick little cleanup. We're not going to paint it or anything. We're just going to get the caked on grease and stuff and get the shiny bits shiny, but everything works good on that, and we'll probably just oil that up. So I'm trying to get the 1 video a week thing out. It's just been kind of tough these past few weeks. Work has been busy. We haven't really slowed down. You figured you kind of taper off at the end of the season, but we haven't yet, and the weather's been holding out relatively warm. And unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, my father got diagnosed with cancer. So he's still in the testing phase. What we know so far is we 100% know that it's cancer. More than likely, it's isolated to one area and hasn't spread throughout his body. He still had another test to confirm, and I'm not exactly sure if he got the results to that back. He is definitely going to have surgery of some sort, and he is going to have some sort of radiation therapy after that. So the outlook is pretty good. He's still kind of in the hurry up and wait stage, and we won't know anything concrete as far as timetables and things like that for another week or so. So he's kind of, like I said, in the hurry up and wait stage. Good thing is he's relatively young. He's 68, and in relatively good health. So things are looking good. He's in good spirits. Last time I saw him, he said, I'm still here, and you can't get rid of me that easy. So only time will tell what happens with that, and we'll go from there. Now, maybe I'll convince him to come on one of the videos one day. He's kind of a private guy, but we'll see if we can convince him. So now on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, shortly after we found out about my father, I also found out that my wife is pregnant. So we went from about here on the happy scale to about here. So it still hasn't quite sunk in yet that I'm going to be responsible eventually for a child. The only thing I've been responsible for now is me and my wife, who's pretty much self-sufficient. and my cats, who, as long as I feed them and clean their litter box, they're fine. So so like I said, it's just a complete change, and I'm happy. So we're going down that road now, and in 9 months we'll see what we come out with. So anyway, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the lathe and what we got going here and what it looks like now. First, I want to show you a couple of pictures of what it looked like when it was found in the barn by my friend Kevin, and what it looked like when I took it home. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. So these are all those tags that I sat there and scraped. Came out pretty good. This is the sliding gear I have to remake. There's a little ball bearing in there with a spring, a clamp spring on the outside. That spring is broken, so the detent doesn't grab. And also one of the tracks for that ball detent is a little scored. So I don't want to remake the whole shaft. What I might do is just get this down to a nominal size, make a sleeve, put the sleeve over it, and then remachine those grooves into it. And that should take care of that. And here's our belt. It's been holding up fine. Now I took some of that rubber electrical tape there and wrapped it around the clipper lacing to kind of tone down a little click, click, click. And that works fine. And you know, we're nice. This thing rotates pretty damn free. Bedways came out nice and clean. As I said, we do have some wear in there. I decided to do all the controls in red. When I got this lathe, for whatever reason, some parts were black. Like that door was black. I think that door was black. And a couple of the handles were red. I think the tailstock handle was red. And I don't know if this was red. This might have been red. And I kind of like that, so I decided to do red trim. So I put the racing stripes around the tray there, the chip pen. Cleaned everything up. All new wicks in this machine. Threading dials nice and cleaned up. I just need the little ball oil that goes there. This is where the carriage lock goes, which is, we need a new one. This dial here is a replacement. This is a large dial that was given to me by one of the viewers. This still has the original small dial on the cross slide here with a ton of backlash, which I'm going to remake the screw and the nut and maybe make a large dial for that. I haven't really decided on that yet or not, and I haven't decided whether I want to go a DRO route or stick with the dials. I'm not quite sure yet. Here's the tailstock. We rebuilt the screw that was in this. And this guy here is actually in a light from IKEA. You know, it looks like those old machinist lights. I think it was about 30 bucks, which I don't even think you can step into a machinist light for like less than 60 bucks. And it's if you guys have a gray machine, it'll match because it's gray. And I just took a piece of aluminum angle, screwed it to where the taper attachment holes are, and it's actually threaded to the base that it comes with. And I just drilled a hole, threaded it in, and the thing works great. And it's a little push button there. We have our nice Aloris tool post with the tool holders. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 number 1 holders, which are the ones that do not have the slot in the bottom. Hey, I can use my light. Those are the ones that don't have the slot in the bottom of them. These are 2 Dorian BXA tool holders here. These are the number 2 holders. These are the ones that do have that groove in there for a boring bar. I have a boring bar holder. I also have a holder that holds the triangular insert directly, and you can adjust the angle and move this whole block in and out. And I also have 3 powered-off blade holders, which is great because I can have 3 different holders in here. One that's angled to the left and then one that's angled to the right, and one that's flat in the front, so I can power off on different sides and have that tit be on one side or the other, or just have it as a grooving tool. So those just need to be cleaned up a little bit, and probably make some sort of rack of some sort there. The only other thing I need to do, actually this is where my compressor is down there that I built. I have to take my regulator and move it over this side here, and I mounted another light above the lathe here so we can get some good film. And there is the VFD. So on this side we have the 13. Let me actually move over this side of the shop here. So this is how the setup is now. 13 on that side. We got our drill press facing that way. We get our mill at the end, and the 9 on the opposite side of the 13, which is great because I can go back and forth between the machines. So I can have this one set up with a collet chuck, and this one set up with a regular chuck, and go in and out, back and forth, different operations. And you know, one set up more for smaller stuff, and one set up more for larger stuff. I also have a bunch of Aloris AXA holders in here that are in good shape. They're just dirty, that need to be cleaned up too, and I add those to the collection. Here's a nice threading insert one. I actually have 2 of these. So there's this one here with that threading insert. You can see the size of it there, and I have another one right here, and you can see this one is a little bigger. So you can see the size difference there. I've used that fell on my foot. I've used this one already, and that's it. So as I said, we have some projects ahead of us and some good video content. One other thing I really want to make for that lathe is I want to make a dial indicator holder. But I don't want to use them. I want to make a clamp one like I have on the 9, but I want to make it a cam action, so there's no screw, just a cam lever that you can lift up, slide the whole thing down, and lock it down. So that's also in the works. So we have a bunch of upcoming content. I hope you guys stick around, and thank you for watching this video, and we will see you on the next one.